There may be a point there, yeah. You probably got about 5 points on this.
Yeah. Yo, dude. Today is the day. Y'all, we about to take a road test. Bro, Beta's about to take a road test. I think I'm more nervous now than I was when I actually took mine. It's gonna be epic. I got my buddy Dean coming out, who is a certified driver's instructor, and he's going to go out on a road test with us. This video is gonna be epic, y'all. So right now, jump down there in the comment. You think it's gonna pass or fail? Come on, do it right now before you see the end. Don't scroll to the end, nothing. Like, jump down. Also, hit the like button, subscribe for more videos like this, and let's go. So one of the reasons I'm really nervous is because my car hasn't parallel parked in over a year. I know when I first got the car, like, it could parallel park, no problem. I used it a few times. Granted, just like the perpendicular parking, like the P didn't show up all the time, but it would show up. But honestly, I think somewhere along the way, it just stopped showing up. And so I don't know how, like, driver tests are rated or anything like that, but we could fail just because the car can't parallel park. And the crazy part about it is, like, I searched YouTube. I was like going video after video, and I couldn't find a current video of a Tesla parking itself. I literally only found one, and it was from 4 days ago. And I was like, oh yes, maybe we got it. Maybe we can do it. So I actually messaged the guy because I got my hopes all up. I'm like, yeah, like, we're gonna be able to do it. We got parallel parking back. And then he messaged me and he says, it's only for Model S, y'all. So all the nerves came back. I don't know, man, I don't know. And so here we go, y'all, here we go. Oh! I think it's gonna do good though. I don't know. I think it's gonna do good. I don't know if it's gonna pass, but I know it's gonna do good. I know Dean's gonna be super impressed with it if he passes it or not. So with that being said, let's go pick up Dean. Yo, real quick, hit the like button, y'all. Come on, man. Yeah. Hit it. Beep, beep. So yeah, so have you ever been in a Tesla before?
Nope, first time.
All right. So yeah, everything is controlled here. And actually, you can start the video away from your house.
All right.
So, as a professional, driver instructor, you how long have you been?
6 years now.
6 years.
Yes, an instructor for 6 years, and I've been Chief Operating Officer for Courtesy for a little over 2.
Wow. All right, perfect. And so I wanted to get your expertise on just like how the system is. Like if this was an actual road test, right? And I was doing what the car is doing. What would you say at the end? Like, would I have passed, or would you have some like pointers for me, like, hey, work on this, work on this?
Okay.
And so just kind of wanted you to judge the system from like, where are we at? Yeah, we'll go.
So there's 2 different portions of our driving school. So we have behind the wheel instructors. So we take the students on drives 1 through 6 for when they're in segment 1 of driver education. And then there's the road test portion. I'm not a road tester. I'm not a road examiner, as they're referred to. I am a behind the wheel instructor. Okay. So this is where I would sit here and tell the students turn right, turn left, stop, slow down, speed up, something along those lines.
I think that's actually probably really good, because you can say, okay, well, if you were preparing for your real test, like you definitely need to be more aggressive here, less aggressive there.
Yeah, absolutely. We tell a student at the conclusion of their drives, what went well, what they need to work on moving forward. Hard accelerations or hard decelerations, how to learn how to feather that pedal, how to properly turn, when to turn. The first thing they do on the road test is they do something called the forward stop line. And they pull forward to a white line in the pavement that's painted. And then there's these dash marks that are 24 inches from that solid white line. And their job is to pull between the 24-inch white lines and the solid white line, 24 inches or less. It's the easiest thing you're going to do on the road test, but most students get a point there because they don't know where the front end of the car is.
I think the Tesla is going to be great because it very much knows like where it is. Even if like I put the car in the drive right now, it's going to tell you like how far I can go forward. Should we test it out? Or
Yeah.
first, maybe you should go through some of these settings. If we, do the assertive, it's probably going to roll some stop signs, and I don't know, we might get a point on that. So we might want to put that on average.
Okay.
As far as like these settings, do you see anything that might that we should like calm down or?
So this is going to sense the speed change. Okay. Exit passing lane. What does that refer to?
So that is, it's not going to just stay in the left lane. It's going to actually, it'll get back over into the slower lane. So,
okay. Require a lane change confirmation, so it tells you once it's complete. Okay.
And then, so you can offset like the speed limit. I don't know, do you get marked down like if you actually go like 5 over?
Yeah, so what we allow is anywhere between 1 and 3 miles over the speed limit. Okay. This speed fluctuations change with the grade of the road. If you go anywhere between 4 and 9 miles over the limit on the road test, you're going to get a 1 warning. The second time you do it, it's an automatic failure. Okay, because it tells the road examiner that the student isn't paying attention to their speed. Yeah. If at any point you go 10 miles over the limit, it's an automatic failure. Wow. Yeah, no warning whatsoever.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. So let's just say 3 miles an hour.
Perfect.
Awesome. So should we drive somewhere?
Let's go for a ride.
All right.
And I'll tell you what I look for after every little maneuver that the car will do. I'll tell you what I would look for, and I would talk to the instructor or the student about. Okay. Nice and straight. Keep rolling. Keep going straight. And keep going straight. That's my road. There you go. Stop. I do that to my wife all the time. I'm like, no. I want you to do this. Straighten up your wheels. There you go. So this would be the forward stop line on the road, on the parking lot portion of the road test. So there's 2 parts. In the parking lot, it's called basic control skills test. And then you have the road portion. So here we would be at the forward stop line, which is 24 inches or less from the white line on the pavement. Yeah. And then from this position, we would back into a parking space, perpendicular parking on the driver's side of the vehicle. All right, there you go. Can you keep the camera on? So ideally what we're looking for is to have the vehicle nice and centered in the space, even spacing between these 2 white lines. The one thing that would get a student a point on this is from that forward stop line into this space is a backing maneuver only. Only a backing maneuver. Every time you reposition or put the vehicle in drive and move forward, you get a point. Okay. So ideally, you want to have 1 continuous motion into this space. This right here, I would say the student did great, but there's a point. So let's say we got 0 points up there. Here would warrant 1 point. We're straight. We're perfect. Would you mind if I hopped out for a second?
No. No.
So we would have cones and poles along the back here. There's 1, 2, 3 poles. And then over here on the pavement would be 24 inches from the end of the parking space would be those dashed lines again. So we want the rear of the bumper of the vehicle to be 24 inches or less from the very back. There's maybe a point there.
Oh, for too close?
There may be a point there, yeah, because right here there would be a cone, an orange cone with a pole in it, but I would imagine that the car would sense
if there was
the
a cone
presence
there.
of the cone. Yeah, so if there was nothing here, Actually, now that I look at it, when I was looking at the screen, I was seeing this line. And this line is what I was seeing. This car is not perfectly in the space.
Okay.
It's not. So going back to what I said earlier, there's probably a handful of points here. Okay. Yeah, there's probably, if our cones and poles were on this white line, so you got 1 point for repositioning. You would have hit this cone. You probably got about 5 points on this one right here, if there were cones, because I feel like the vehicle sensed this line and not the actual line of the parking space. If the vehicle did this on its own, there's a possibility that this would be a failure of the full road test. Okay. Because if you don't pass the parking lot portion, you get 6 points. Yeah. In Michigan, you get 6 points. I don't know what they look like elsewhere, but you get 6 points in the parking lot for the basic controls test. And if you have 6 points or more, then you don't even have the opportunity to go out on the road. Wow. Yeah, so you have to pass the parking lot portion. I look at it like this. The road examiner needs to know that you know what you're doing before they go put their life in your hands. Because you take your own vehicle to the road test. There is no instructor brake. The road examiner isn't grabbing the steering wheel. They're just examining the way that you would drive. And if a student would have done this, then this would probably be a failure, because it would have hit 4, 5. You would have hit 5 cones and 1 reposition. That's 6 points. Wow. So the road examiner would then have the student go from here over to the parallel parking, which is blindside backing. And they would have them do it, knowing full well that they've already failed. But they're going to give them that opportunity to at least one more time to practice, and then that's when they would break the news to them that they didn't pass. Yeah. But again, I feel like if this car was in autonomous mode, like it was, and there were cones and poles, I feel like it probably would have sensed those, is my guess. Yeah. But I do feel like it got confused on its lines. I think it chose
there's also this like middle line.
Yeah.
It's not an actual line. So maybe that confused it as well.
Oh, that line doesn't go through. See, I'm seeing that line. I thought that line went all the way through. So let's back everything up that I said, because I'm assuming that that's your parking line.
Oh,
this one right here.
Yeah.
I'm assuming that this is the line, but it's not. It chose this line, which it chose properly. So don't pay attention to anything I just told you, because I think that would be wrong.
Okay.
When I'm standing here from my perspective, I thought that was the line.
Yeah.
But that's not the line. This is the line over here. So this would be 1 point.
1 point.
For the repositioning.
Okay. Well, now we have to see if we can parallel to get out of the parking lot.
Yeah. Where do we have parallel? We have parallel parking in downtown Rochester, right on the main street.
Yeah.
All right.
All right. So we might as well have the car drivers there. So I'm thinking this is Main. What route would it take us? Oh, that's kind of ridiculous. I'll just go up to Main. One, if it were going to do it. But I don't know. Yeah, it doesn't look like it's going to show me a parking.
And we weren't up far enough either.
Oh, okay. Oh, it actually is. So if we can find a spot, it's going to show me the little P. I'm going to put my hazards on so they know that I'm trying to park. Okay. That's encouraging, because I didn't think it was doing parallels. So, I seen. There we go.
Car's not going to let you do it.
They're trying to get over. complete. How do we look?
So we're looking for 12 inches over here. That's about a foot. It looks good. So can we see a overhead view of the car? So this is what the diagram looks like for curved path backing or blindside backing or parallel. So in the road test, the vehicle is always going to be closer to these back cones than it would be the front, which is why we try to teach them that it's curved path backing or blindside backing, not necessarily parallel. Because here in a live parking situation, you always want to park your vehicle in the middle between the vehicle in front and the vehicle behind you.
Yeah.
If you were to end up here, if this car backed into this space and we were closer to that car back there, and in the road test, if you push the car forward by putting it in drive, that's point. Because it's a reposition. Because they're only backing maneuvers. Every time you put your car into drive, you're going to get 1 point.
Wow.
So here's our spaces are 8 feet wide. The length of the space is adjustable by cones and poles in the parking lot. And it's always the length of the vehicle plus 6 feet. That's the curved path backing or blindside. This is what sight side backing looks like. So it's 20 feet long, 12 feet wide. There's that little dashed line right in there. So you want to be 24 inches, 2 feet or less from those cones and poles.
All right, so we got a few points.
Yeah, that's okay. 1 point on the sight side backing. I said it was 5 or 6, but it actually turned out only to be the 1, and then 1 point here. So we're off and running. We can go on the road. Yeah, the student would pass the parking lot. Yeah, absolutely. Yep. I'm an average parallel parker when I'm sitting in the driver's seat. I'm unbelievable over here.
Really? Like you got the steering wheel?
No, I don't have a steering wheel. I got this steering wheel because our cars all have an instructor brake and only one steering wheel because the cars aren't set up for that. But if a student is struggling with it, I can sit here from this position and parallel park that student like a rock star.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
Okay.
All right, let's go.
Let's do this. So right here, you'll notice these things are grayed out. The circle is cruise. And so that's just adaptive cruise. It will speed up, slow down. But then this wheel, that's actually autopilot. And so when that's blue, I'm like the car's doing everything. And I'm basically just a passenger.
Okay.
And so how you turn it on is just a double click here. And I'm going to turn it on now. And so now the car is in control. You see it put on the blinker, and it's going to follow our navigation. Now it should creep forward. It's looking for traffic.
So it was able to sense that lane was ending.
Mm-hmm.
Here, what we look for is we want to be able to see the rear tires of the vehicle in front of us touching the road. It's called safe stopping distance.
Okay.
Any closer, you run the risk if you get rear-ended, you're going to have a rear-end collision, and then you're going to rear-end the car in front of you.
No, that makes sense.
And that was actually, it was exactly what we look for in regards to stopping distance.
All right. 1 point for the Tesla.
In that turnaround, we would have looked for the car to be on either the right or the left side,
Okay.
depending on what lane they would be choosing over here. So if they were choosing the outside lane, they would stay on the right-hand side of the turnaround.
Mm-hmm.
If they chose the inside lane, we'd want them on the left side. Here, the Tesla was in the middle.
Kind of the middle, yeah.
Yeah. Lane changes are smooth.
Yeah.
They're real nice.
But as you can feel back there, some of the like turnarounds and things like that, it's a little jerky.
It is, yeah.
Would a student get marked down for that?
No, absolutely not. We need them to be in control of the car, and movements are never perfect. So they're going to make minor adjustments, and that's what we ask them to do. You have to learn how to make minor adjustments, and with a nice, safe following distance, we look for 3 to 4 seconds, and right now we're at 4-second following distance from this car in front of us.
Mm-hmm.
Teach them to look 15 to 20 seconds down the road, start formulating a plan. If you need to do something, make a change, make a lane change, begin slowing down. This right here, what we're doing is sometimes the most difficult part of a student's drive is figuring out what their safe following distance is. Because you begin to follow too closely, and depending on the size of the vehicle in front of you, if that black pickup over there was in front of us, the closer you drive to a larger truck, the less you're able to see the road. So students would have a hard time gauging what's in front of them. So that's when we start teaching them to maybe back off on their following distance. 3 to 4 seconds is that minimum sweet spot that we shoot for, but there's no shame in 5 or 6 seconds, or even a few more.
Yeah. So I didn't even let you chime in on that. So on our steering wheel, we can adjust this, like how far or how close we want to be.
Are these seconds or car lengths?
I think those are car lengths.
Car length.
So we're at 2 car lengths from the person in front of us.
So we don't teach car length anymore because we need it to be specific and measurable for a student, and cars are all varying sizes nowadays. So
that makes sense.
They're not all the same size. So that's why we teach them something specific and measurable is seconds behind a car. And obviously some people count a little bit faster than others.
Mm-hmm.
That's why there's a variation in 3 or 4 seconds. We also look for the student to drive down the road somewhat in the middle, or as close to the middle as they can. Sometimes the condition of the road on the right near the curb isn't ideal for driving down the middle. So sometimes they do have to cheat a little bit more toward the line. And that's another hard thing that they have to overcome, is their perspective is on the left side of the vehicle.
Mm.
So what they see over here is the space is a lot greater than what they see over there. They don't really realize, because when they're sitting inside the car appears to be as large and wide as the lane, and they don't realize exactly how much space they have right to left.
Mm-hmm.
So something along these lines. This van in front of us is stopped perfectly. This one's a little bit far back, but ideally at an intersection, what you want is you want to be able to stop, bring the vehicle to a stop, wheel stop rolling, vehicle stops moving, speedometer says 0. We do teach something called a staggered stop,
mm-hmm.
where that car over there would stop a little bit farther back, giving a nice clean left turn from the vehicles coming from the right over that direction.
Oh,
so so if that white car was sorry about this, a little bit further out past the white line, which many people stop past, it impedes the left turn from the vehicle coming from the right, and it starts to slow traffic down. So as opposed to 5 vehicles making through a green light, only 4 would make it through. So we try to teach them to do whatever they can to improve the flow of traffic. Never make a decision that's going to slow traffic down.
That makes sense.
So
I had a question.
Wait, real quick, I will tell you this. So we teach the students that at intersections, if you go through an intersection, look to the right, look front and right and left, and you're usually going to see speed limit signs. And begin slowing down before the speed limit changes. We were going 11 over. The vehicle was decelerating, but we were going 11 over once we hit that speed limit sign that said 25.
Wow. Okay. So that would have been automatic failure.
No, not necessarily automatic failure. It's just that might warrant a point for the student, because they were making the attempt to slow down. And our road examiners also take into account the nerves level of a student, because nobody really wants to fail. And you know, if they're in the process of slowing down and they do cross that speed limit sign and they're still over the limit, that might be one of those times where we would issue a warning. Keep an eye on your speed. They never tell them, hey, your speed limit's going to decrease by 10 miles per hour up here.
Mm-hmm.
So the road examiner is only supposed to examine the current skill level and the current knowledge level of the student.
Okay.
What was your question?
So back there, and that makes so much sense. Back there, there was a turn lane in the middle.
Mm-hmm.
So say we were coming from the other side. A lot of times, people will turn left into the turning lane until there's like clear traffic.
Mm-hmm.
Is that? I don't know if that's illegal. I don't think the car does that right now.
Mm-hmm.
I wish it would, but I don't know if that is actually a legal maneuver.
It's not. It's a shared left turn lane.
Mm-hmm.
And if a vehicle is sitting in that left turn lane, making a right turn, it's improper lane usage.
Okay.
The road examiner will never put a student in that position, though.
Okay.
They won't. It's too complicated of a move. We do have them make right turns and left turns and use center turn lanes, but we never have them come out of a location over there to have to blend into traffic going left. However, what we are looking for when we do use that center turn lane is 200 feet or less is really all you have. Anything over 200, I mean, nobody's out there with a tape measure, but anything over 200 is considered driving in the lane. And it's not for driving. It's for getting into and making a left turn, because it is a shared left turn lane. If you're in that lane, you're obstructing another vehicle's ability to use it properly. So nothing wrong there.
Okay.
But you stopped it, right?
I didn't.
Okay.
I was about to.
Okay.
The car stopped before I could stop.
There, what we would look for is the student would need to get to that intersection and monitor what's happening, because every time you cross over intersections and the environment starts to change,
Mm-hmm.
the attitude of the driver needs to change. If you're driving in a rural countryside, you're looking for different road-related cues.
Mm-hmm.
There, we probably would have given that student a point for not seeing earlier.
That they were backing into the spot, yeah.
But the most important thing is there that the vehicle would stop.
And it's really impressive, like
Mm-hmm.
all the detail that it's actually picking up. Then normally, like if I'm driving, I would creep forward
Mm-hmm.
because I know this light is going to turn red before I get an opportunity.
Mm-hmm.
So then, obviously, I have to go. But I know that's probably not legal.
It is. It
Oh,
is,
it is?
because
Okay.
once you commit to this turn in that intersection, you're able to make that left turn on the yellow light before it turns red.
Okay.
So I would have had, if you were my student, I would have had you out there a little bit further, monitoring the crosswalk.
Oh, okay.
Wheels partially in the intersection is what we would tell them.
Okay.
Because otherwise, on an uncontrolled left turn, in theory, you can sit here all day.
Mm-hmm.
Unless we don't try to teach the students to be aggressive at all. Our job is to teach them to be defensive, but sometimes the moves have to be a little bit more forceful. So here I would have the student be out there in the intersection a little bit further just to make that turn.
I may hit the accelerator a little bit so that it will cheat out there a little bit more. It did make me nervous.
Mm-hmm.
I wanted to hit the brake.
Yep. I would have had the student stay straight before it started to make the turn. Maybe turn the wheels
Yeah.
so that the oncoming vehicles knows that the vehicle is about to turn, but I wouldn't have had the vehicle turn. I would have had them stop. And that turn would have been a little too far over to the left. From a behind the wheel instructor standpoint, we teach them to turn just a little bit harder on the steering wheel, maybe one additional turn.
And then would you say that was too aggressive, the turn?
It wasn't forceful enough.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, too aggressive would have put you over here on the right. Not forceful enough would have been a little bit wider of a turn, heading across the center line.
Yeah. So, do some highway.
Yeah, let's go do some highway, and then we'll take us back home. If you can remember all the way back to the left turn that we made onto Main Street, you turned to the vehicle turned to the closest lane, which was that lane over there.
Yeah.
And you were going to parallel park over here. That maneuver is not something that we would practice going from the left lane over to the right to parallel, because it's not necessarily something that we're going to search for in the road test, to the best of my knowledge.
Yeah.
But we would have had them in this lane. Ideally, you'd want to be in the lane closest to your parking space. Only do things to improve the flow of traffic. And if you make a decision or a move when you're driving and it slows traffic down, probably not the right decision. Let me ask you this. Do you see how the center portion of this lane is a little bit darker?
Mm-hmm.
As you're sitting there, where is that dark line in relation to your right knee?
It looks like it's going over the right.
Going right into it?
Yeah.
All right. That's kind of one of the things that we teach. So sometimes when you look down the road, that center portion is a little bit darker from the dirt and the grime falling off the cars. Sometimes it's a little bit lighter, depending on the condition of the road. So if a student is having trouble maintaining the center portion of their lane, we try to teach them, find that dark line, line it up with your right knee.
That's really good. The car does do a fairly good job.
No, it's nice. I like its positioning. It's tracking. It's driving nice and straight. Sometimes we have students who are crowding that white line, or they're terrified of it. And it all depends on the student.
Yeah. So you can you tell that this car in front of us is darker than this car. That means it's tracking its speed.
Oh, okay.
And whenever a car turns blue, it's not written out, but it seems like to me it's looking to like predict like what that car is going to do next, to know where, like if it's safe to actually get over, if it's safe to do something.
They don't know how to absorb everything in their traffic scene. And I think maybe one of the advantages of the Tesla is that it does absorb everything. It's picking up the traffic cones on the side of a road, or vehicles approaching driveways and roads right and left, and the students generally don't. And we teach the students, you only have the right of way when other vehicles give it to you.
Oh, missed that one.
Was that you or the car?
So I just went over. It was gonna get over way too late.
Yeah, it was.
Yeah, because a lot of times you have to drive for other people, right? Because people they make dumb decisions, and now you have to react to that. You don't want to react, you want to respond.
Yep.
You have to give yourself enough time to be able to do that.
So we'll teach a student, if you're driving through an intersection and the light is green, you don't have the right of way. Other vehicles are yielding the right of way to you. So you only have it if they give it to you. And if they don't give it to you, you no longer have it. You have a legal obligation to yield the right of way back to them, and it prevents a crash.
I love that.
So that right there, that would have been a fine merge onto the freeway. It'd have been just a fine merge. We never did cross over the solid white line as the lane was ending. We never did cross over it, so it would have been maybe would have had the examiner on guard just a little bit.
Yeah. So since it was so late.
Yeah, because you're running out of, because they don't tell the student that your lane's about to end. It's time to get over. They just have to evaluate you as you go through the maneuver. So right there, I was waiting for it. I was waiting for the turn signal. We teach the students to put your turn signal on about 100 feet before your intended turn or lane change.
Yeah.
And that I felt the vehicle move, and simultaneously the signal came on. Now it was safe. Obviously there was nobody in front of us or behind us, so it didn't cause a crash. But we try to teach them 100 feet so that everybody, we tell them that your turn signals aren't necessarily for you. They're for everybody else around you, so you can communicate your intentions to other drivers. And if there's a simultaneous movement and turn signal, and again, nobody's out there measuring, a road examiner's not going to tell a student, hey, that was only about 94 feet. They're not doing that. You say it's about 100 feet. Same thing with your high beams. If you have your high beams on and you have another vehicle coming at you within 500 feet, legally you're supposed to put your low beams on. And you can get pulled over for having your high beams on. With oncoming traffic, you can get pulled over.
Yeah. Now, this is interesting.
Yeah.
Because we should have gotten over. So probably would have got marked out.
We would have had the student use a turn signal for that lane change there. And it was fine. Again, legally, you have the right to use that lane until the lane disappears, right? So, as long as you're safely doing it, but we would have asked for a turn signal, because all lane changes require a signal. Use your indicators. I wonder how it would handle one of these passing lanes.
All right, so moment of truth. What do you think? So we've experienced the parking lot. We've done some highway, left turns, right turns. What's your advice?
I think the car handles nicely. Though a couple of the things that I would try to coach out of a student is when it brakes heavy early.
Yep.
Instead of slowly applying gradually more pressure as you get to this point. It stops fine. The stopping distance is great, but there's a lot of extra pressure, and that's really what we're looking for. The road examiners will look for, how does the student accelerate slowly and gradually, and how do they brake slowly and gradually? Is it always hard stops? You see this right here, this blue car? See, that's what we don't teach. Anything past that white line is the intersection. You stopped at an intersection. You get a cop on a bad day, they can pull you over for that, because you're supposed to stop behind it. But overall, I'm impressed with the speed adjustments. Feel it going up or down a hill. See, this is what I would be. Did you do it, or did the car?
The car did it.
Okay. Yeah, so it did sense that car was turning over there. But again, I would like to see a turn signal.
Yeah.
And then I'd like to see a turn signal
Get back.
Yeah, because technically those are lane changes. Lane changes require a signal. The only, like I said, the brakes, it brakes kind of hard sometimes, and then in that turnaround that we did over here earlier, it was a little jerky. But again, we're not going to necessarily mark a student down for making adjustments to the vehicle. That's what the steering wheel's for. From the knowledge that I have, not being a certified road examiner, I would say it more than likely would have passed. Yeah, absolutely.
Come on. So good.
Again, I'm only a behind the wheel instructor, not a certified road examiner.
Yeah, We passed, y'all. First off, I want to apologize. At the end there, all the cameras started dying. So I just figured, hey, let's end it like we used to. I'm whispering again. All the kids are sleeping. But how exciting, we got a passing grade. So the goal of this video was never to prove that we're that much further to level 5 autonomy, but it was actually with the hope that this video could silence the voices of those trying to take our permit. So I hope you enjoyed this video. I know it was super long, so I appreciate you. Give me your feedback down there in the comments. If you haven't liked the video already, hit the like button if you would like, and yeah, I'll see you in the next one. Peace.